February 9th, 2021 at 4 o'clock. And I call to order this meeting. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. This is the roll call. The Honorable William Bill Edwards, Mayor.
Here.
The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3.
Present.
The Honorable Naima Gilliard, District 4.
Here.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Accounted for.
The Honorable Councilmember Khalid, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Mark Baker, District 7.
Present.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. First presentation, please.
Yes, sir. The first presentation is the 2021 Legislative Session Update and Tracking. That presentation will be provided by Andrew Long with AR Long and Company.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council. This is Andrew Long. I'm grateful to be here today, and I do understand that I'm on a timer, so I'm going to make this fast. This session, the 2021 legislative session, is obviously not like no other. To this point so far, there are no large groups at the Capitol. There are no pages at the Capitol. You are not allowed over to the House chamber. You are not allowed over to the Senate chamber. You have senators that are sitting in the gallery to use their official desks. Same with the House. They're spread across the Capitol so that they can conduct the people's business. To this point, there are three. Right before I get into the city of South Fulton specific legislation, there are three things thus far that are kind of carrying this session. One is voting, I don't want to say rights, but voting bills that legislators in the majority in the Senate have introduced. And there's a special committee over in the House, which would imply that those bills will make it to the governor's desk. Two is rural broadband, which was very important to the House Speaker, who set up a rural caucus to make sure that Atlanta, Georgia, and Metro Atlanta doesn't leave the rest of the state. So there's a $80 million $800 million, rural broadband initiative across the state. And then number three, some of the state's potential vices. There's sports betting. There's a sports betting bill that's already up that will likely pass, which will probably lead into next session having having some casino legislation that might see the light of day. And then, of course, cannabis. There were several LLCs within the state of Georgia who submitted applications for cultivation. There is a Georgia Access to Cannabis Commission that was created, and that commission accepted applications for the cultivation license, which there will be 6 awarded. And then there's going to be a dispensary process or application after these are awarded next month. But anyway, more specifically, City of South Fulton, I have spoken to this year's chair of the City of South Fulton Legislative Delegation, which is Chairman Roger Bruce. It is no longer Chairman Deborah Bazemore, but Roger Bruce will be the chair of the Legislative Delegation. And they have taken up, I believe, 6 pieces of legislation that they're going to introduce this year. The only one to this point that has been introduced is the annexation of Fulton Industrial Boulevard. That bill was introduced on Friday. It was second read on Monday and assigned a bill number. That bill number is House Bill 345. House Bill 345 to annex that stretch of Fulton Industrial Boulevard into the city of South Fulton. So the other measures we are keeping a close eye on, but more so monitoring the moment that they're introduced. The legislative delegation did agree to do the name change of the street of South Fulton Parkway to Congressman Robert John Lewis Parkway. That is in the works. Also, the heat-related youth sports injuries, Representative William Bodie is going to introduce that legislation. And there are two others. The short-term rental regulations is something that I think the delegation is going to allow the state to continue down the path that they're going, and we just monitor and make sure that it's not detrimental to us. None of the delegation is going to actually introduce anything specific to that. And then strengthening the candidate residency requirement. There is going to be a bill for that measure introduced. And as soon as all of the additional bills are introduced, I will bring forth to you a report that will have the authors of those bills and the bill numbers for your review. But at this time, the only one that has been introduced on behalf of the city of South Fulton is author Roger Bruce has introduced HB 345, which will annex Fulton Industrial Boulevard into the city of South Fulton, carving out, of course, Charlie Brown Airport. So the remainder of my time, I am glad to open the floor to any questions. If there is anything specific to the city of South Fulton that you would like for me to address or more closely monitor, I'm glad to do that. Or if it's something that is not city of South Fulton specific, but you want to ask me about that's going on down at the Capitol, please advise, let me know. And I'm glad to open up the floor to any questions, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Long. Councilwoman Rao.
Yes, Mr. Long, can you clarify what you said about the John Lewis bill? Because I know there have been discussions. I mean, I had submitted Hamilton Road, but I had previously heard that they were looking at South Fulton Parkway. So I just want to clarify, are they talking about Hamilton Road?
I do not have a bill in hand, council member, so I don't have specific language, but what I have been told is the delegation decided that I believe they wanted it longer than just the stretch of 166 that you all submitted to them. So they have decided to take, I believe, a long stretch of, or maybe the entirety of South Fulton Parkway and renaming that to Congressman John Robert Lewis Parkway. That's my understanding, but there's not language out to this point.
Let me share that. You know, if they ask for input, they should listen to the citizens. He was a resident of the Sandtown community who lived in Sandtown. And please share that. And I'll also be speaking with members of the delegation. You know, if you ask us for our legislative packet, you should be listening to what we're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Councilmember Rao. Councilmember Willis, and I understand Mr. Baker has his hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Long, for your report. And thank you. I'm glad to hear that Representative Bodie is going to bring back the heat-related youth sport injuries bill. And these are these the recommendations that came forth or came out of the study committee that was commenced last year?
That is correct.
Okay. The other thing is to strengthen the residency requirement. Is that specific to the city of South Fulton? Or is that overall the state of Georgia?
It's going to be a state of Georgia. It's going to be a piece of legislation that's going to affect the state of Georgia. The goal is to the loophole in the law concerning residency when it comes to campaigns. We're trying to close that loophole, and it will go for all 159 counties, all of the cities in the state, not just specific to the city of South Fulton.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis. I'll go to Councilmember Gumbs, and then next will be Councilman Baker.
Hi, Mr. Long. Thank you again for your report. I actually have just a few questions in regards to the short-term rental regulations. You're stating that the delegation is going to be watching it and not necessarily championing it for it to be with the municipalities.
That's correct. What they decided, once I took you all's priorities directly to them, they convened, they met amongst themselves, just the delegation. And what they decided was that, so they've been told they have been advised that this is an issue that you can address under home rule law within the city. And in addition, since the General Assembly is addressing the issue, any changes that are made, they will just agree to that would affect the whole state as long as it doesn't negatively affect the city of South Fulton.
Understood. Also too, in regards to the, I guess, the session and what they're actually watching, are there certain things that we can add in the process? Because speaking with one of the delegation members, there's some changes that we would like to see, if possibly the cameras to start being able to pick up on truck traffic. And I wanted to know if that is something that we are able to add and kind of watch to see if that legislation will go through.
That is not on my radar, Councilmember Gomes, but I'm glad to add that to the list of things that that I am monitoring. The first thing I will need to do is determine what that bill number is, read the legislation itself, and then I can report back to you exactly where it is, where it stands, and how I believe, whether I believe it will pass this session or not. But I can add that to the list of things that I'm monitoring. That's easy. Glad to.
Okay, if you can possibly follow up with State Rep Bazemore, she should have more information on that.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gumbs. And lastly, I have Councilman Baker.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, Mr. Long, for your update and your report.
Sir.
And I want to say thank you definitely for checking in on that legislation regarding cannabis. I also wanted to just put on your radar that since we last communicated with you,
You're breaking
this body has passed reparations, and it is of my yes, sir, Mr.
Baker.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
My apologies. What I was saying, Mr. Long, is since we last communicated with you, this body has passed legislation regarding reparations, and I would like it if you could. I mean, I can't say definitively, but it was brought to my attention earlier today that a state rep is introducing legislation on that level regarding reparations. Because this body passed it, I would like you to inform our delegation that that is something that we would like to support as a municipality.
Mr. Baker, I am glad to do that. Anna Edmondson, who works with me at AR Loan Company, is also on this Zoom call. Anna, please add that to our tracking, and I'll definitely look that up. I believe it is a gentleman from Savannah, Georgia, who has passed or who has introduced that legislation. I'm glad to follow that up. And in fact, we're still at the point now where there could be some language based on what you all passed that can be added to the bill that he has, since it is not, it hasn't gone anywhere yet. It's just been introduced. We still have time to amend that and do some things to it if possible. But I'm glad to find out what that bill number is, read the bill, report on it for you, and let you know where it is. I'm glad to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Since this call, you've been emailed the legislation so you can share with whomever. I believe the city of South Fulton is proud to be the forerunners of that legislation, as we were the first to introduce it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. We'll conclude the conversation with Councilmember Willis. Are you moving?
Yes, Mr. Long.
Yes, ma'am.
This city passed legislation, Amari Aubrey legislation. House Representative Gilliard contacted me earlier in the year, and he reached out to several cities to pass the resolution to support the repeal of that law that is outdated, that is on the books, to appeal the citizen arrests. And I don't see that anywhere as a priority for the city of South Fulton. And that was a legislative priority for us. We passed the resolution. And so I really do need you to follow up on that with House Representative out of Savannah, Georgia, Carl Gilliard, to see where we are with that bill.
Citizens Arrest. Yes, ma'am. I am reviewing my notes. I do remember that being one of your priorities. And yeah, Carl Gilliard is a good friend of mine. I will follow up with him on that, and I'll make sure that the next report that I give you will have an update on the citizen to repeal the Citizens Arrest Law.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Willis, and thank you also to Mr. Long. We appreciate all that you're doing for us at the state capitol. Next item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Thank you.
Yes, the next item is item 2, public amenities for your community. This presentation will be headed by Public Works and Jerry Presley with Creative Outdoor.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to be able to come before you today. My name is Jerry Presley. I'm the president of Creative Outdoor U.S. Division. I just want to say I greatly appreciate the effort of the Public Works Department, Mr. Valenzuela and his staff, for working with us and getting us to this point and recommending that we come before you to share this information with you about this unique public-private partnership opportunity that we have. With that, I'd like to jump into the presentation since we're very limited on time on this matter. To give you a quick background and information, Creative Outdoor was founded in 1984 as a street furniture advertising company. We are the largest provider of this service within the U.S. and Canada. We currently serve and partner with more than 300 local municipalities and transit agencies throughout North America, and have more than 18,000 units in place. We are considered the leaders of the industry in both sales and technology application, and have over 10,000 local business partners that we work with to help sponsor this infrastructure within the local communities where we serve. Next slide. Our mission every day is helping communities like yours secure the street furniture that's needed to fully support pedestrian networks, thereby ultimately enhancing user experiences and improving the overall quality of life for your communities. Next slide. At the core of our philosophy is that all of our street furniture needs to blend in with the local streetscape. Our furniture must be well maintained and contribute to the overall quality of life of the community. The advertising that we place on our infrastructure must uphold the local community values in both content and appearance. In addition to that, we are constantly engaged in research and development to help ensure that our municipal partners and transit partners have the finest street furniture that is available and the latest technologies that are available to enhance the experiences for all. In addition to that, we are committed to being giving back to the communities in which we serve, and this comes through the form of providing complimentary community advertising, as well as revenue sharing with our municipal partners and or local nonprofits within the community. And of course, we're also to participating in local job creation for servicing our infrastructure in the communities. Next slide. Go ahead and go to the next slide. The program itself is really designed to ensure that our local municipal partners receive the infrastructure that they need at absolutely no cost. This entire program is 100% cost-free to the local taxpayers and to the municipal partners. This includes the purchase of the equipment, the installation of the equipment, the long-term maintenance and service throughout the life of the partnership agreement, and of course, any legal liabilities that are associated with it. So we are ensuring that this will not be a liability for your community and that it will not cost the taxpayers anything. So we fully supply all of the infrastructure and identify our local community partners and ensure that all legal protections are provided at absolutely no cost. The program is actually paid for by leasing commercial advertising space to local businesses where this infrastructure is provided. We specifically work to target local businesses that provide products and services within the community where this infrastructure is placed. We want to make sure that we're doing our part to help strengthen the local economy. In addition, we provide the net advertising sales revenue share to our local partners. And this goes back to our philosophy that it must be a win-win scenario for all of the parties that are involved, whether it's the municipal partners, the taxpayers, the nonprofits, and local businesses within the community. Next slide. I'm going to share a little bit of information about the revenue program. Our local municipal partners that participate in this program can receive on an average of 12% of the total net advertising revenue that's generated. It also, it always depends upon the total number of units that we're installing. And of course, who's going to be responsible in this case for the removal of waste and recycling material. The share increases if the municipal partner performs it. The share decreases if our company provides that service. And it all depends upon whether or not you meet certain criteria, if we can provide that service as part of this project. We're looking at approximately 20% revenue share for the city under the program because under the current scenario, we're asking the city to participate in collecting the waste from the units that are in place. You will have the opportunity, if for some reason the city doesn't want to receive the revenue, you can dedicate it to a local nonprofit of your choosing. Again, it goes back to our commitment. We want this to be a win-win for all the parties involved. The specific benefits to your community, obviously it creates a significant annual savings to local taxpayers because you don't have to worry about the cost of purchasing the equipment or maintaining the equipment a long time or the legal liabilities that are associated with it, because as a partner, we protect you from all of that. It helps to promote local commerce within your community, and this ultimately will increase opportunities to generate more tax revenue by encouraging people to do business locally and buy locally within their own community. We provide a venue for public service announcements for our municipal partner, whether that's a city, county, or state agency. We work in partnership to ensure that public service announcements can be placed and made available. And we also support our local nonprofits within the community by giving them low cost or no cost PSA opportunities as well. The local businesses get to benefit because it provides them with an excellent advertising venue. This is particularly beneficial for small and new businesses that have a limited marketing budget. We offer an affordable option to the more traditional, more expensive methods of newspaper, radio, television, or online advertising. And at the end of the day, it gives these businesses, because it's a static message on this infrastructure that remains in the community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It helps them to capture the local audience that is more likely to visit and purchase local products and services within that community. It also helps them generate new and additional revenues to help build their businesses and help them become more successful because they are able to capture that local prospective customer. In addition, it gives them the ability to actively support needed public infrastructure and nonprofits serving the community. There is a challenge to this whole process because with waste management and recycling, we have a tale of two stories. While more and more communities are asking their citizens and businesses to participate and embrace recycling in their homes and in workplaces to help support our environment, unfortunately, when it comes to public space infrastructure, go to the next slide, local governments are providing only a single stream system. And unfortunately, this is sending a contradictory message to both citizens, and it's bad for the environment. With this infrastructure, our infrastructure is designed so that you're giving that option to your citizens. The picture in the top left-hand corner is the terrace unit. The other unit below is another option for you guys to consider as well. But we're looking initially at the terrace, but it's designed so that you give that option up front to citizens so that when they're in public spaces, they can promote and engage in recycling efforts by giving them 3 portals. All of this infrastructure is designed so that we're providing a modern waste management and recycling system for you. All of the units come new directly from the manufacturer and installed in your community. We will coordinate the placement with our municipal and transit partners. We will, of course, maintain and clean, repair, and replace the units at absolutely no cost during the course of the life of the partnership. All of our units will comply with ADA accessibility and safety design standards. With this, excuse me. Next slide. In addition to that, we want to make sure that we are reinforcing the recycling message. So we provide material at no cost, so that you can provide educational material to help support the local school systems and community organizations that help promote environmental responsibility. Now, when it comes to placement control, we want to make sure that our municipal partners retain complete 100% control over all placements. You have the right to review and object to any recommendations that we make. You have the right to make suggestions of where you would like to see the infrastructure placed. And at the end of the day, you have the right to request relocation or removal of any unit at any given time. So it doesn't really matter whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now or 5 years from now. If you want the unit moved or relocated, we will do that at absolutely no cost for your benefit. In addition to that, we will coordinate with local transit, including MARTA, to identify potential placement locations to better serve transit facilities, which are a major trash collection site. In addition to that, any property owner that's adjacent to a piece of our infrastructure can object at any given time. So if they don't want the infrastructure there, they can say, hey, we don't want it here anymore, and we'll relocate it. When it comes to our operations, our day-to-day operations, our teams are responsible for removing the graffiti that might occur on any of the infrastructure, repairing vandalism or damage, providing day-to-day maintenance of the equipment, as well as the immediate area around the units. We regularly clean all the amenities by pressure washing them. We make sure the advertisements are current and in good state of repair. And of course, we will respond to emergency work orders in a timely fashion. If it's a danger, immediate danger, it's within 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Otherwise, it's 24 to 48 hours of emergency response, depending on the nature of the need. When it comes to our maintenance program, we utilize modern technology to manage our day-to-day activities. Every unit is barcoded and GPSed at the time of installation and during every single visit thereafter. We utilize our handheld devices that I'll talk to you in just a minute about to provide you with real-time data, including work orders and reports. At the end of the day, we're committed to providing you with real-time proof of performance of our activities. Next slide. The MDX system, which is our handheld unit, is designed to automatically provide on-site laser scanning, real-time connection to our operation teams. It lets us know where they're at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when it's being utilized. And it gives them real-time connection to our WebPort Live system, which is your portal to access data and information. Again, this goes back to our commitment to provide proof of performance. The systems automatically prioritize the work and send it to the handheld devices. So if an emergency order comes in during the middle of the day, it goes immediately out to our staff and they can take immediate action on it. And it also creates automatic job completion notices to let our municipal partners know that a work order has been completed, or management, that the work order has been completed. The WebPort system is your interface to access all of our reports and data and activity. It provides you with real-time connection to the data and reports via our automatic data development system. It allows for online submission and maintenance work orders. So if somebody calls in, if a citizen calls in about a complaint and notifies the city can create a work order, and that work order is automatically generated through the system, and you'll get an automatic job completion notice when it's done. Again, it's about guaranteeing proof of performance. This is just a quick image that just shows how the process works. So just kind of a flow chart whenever a work order is submitted, and it goes through the cycle through the process. And I'll just go ahead and skip over this so we can get to the question and answer side. So why choose COA? Well, obviously, we've been in business for 35 years. We did not become the industry leader without making sure that we were doing things right. That's why we have over 18,000 units in place and partner with more than 300 municipalities throughout North America. And it truly comes down to making sure that we're guaranteeing proof of performance through our systems and actively investing in new technology and modern products, and being 100% committed to your satisfaction as a partner in this process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Presley. Councilmember Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. I have a few questions. One, I don't know if this is best for the city manager. Is there a, well, no, this is for you first. Is there a price list for outdoor infrastructure material that you have? For example, I see you have trash cans, you have, bus stop sheltering. Do you all have, where can we obtain the prices for that? Is that in our Public Works Division or?
Well, this program is designed to be cost-free to you. So what we do is we actually provide all of this infrastructure under our agreement. We will provide certain infrastructure to you, specified, whether that's, in this instance, we're looking at waste collection systems. We do have the ability to provide benches and other types of infrastructure, but under our partnership agreement, any of that infrastructure would be at no cost to you. And we're able to do that by the municipal partner granting us the right to place advertisement and sell advertising space on that infrastructure.
Okay. And so for me, I would like to, I welcome the trash cans and have been putting out trash cans independently out of my district budget throughout my district near the model stops. But what residents are also really requesting is for some sheltering at some of these bus stops. So we do, Ms. City Manager, we need to look at providing some shelter, some bus shelters at some of these bus stops with benches. The other thing is, I guess this is a question more so from Ms. Sally Jones. Have we decided to move forward with this vendor? And if we have, when will the project start? And do we have a schedule of when they're going to start placing the outdoor infrastructure?
Well, the intent today was to have an opportunity for you all to hear the presentation, and it would be staff's recommendation that we proceed with this particular vendor. But of course, we were not going to do that until we had an opportunity to get feedback from the council.
Okay. The only thing that I would want to make sure is that who controls what's advertised? Is it the city or that onus? Is it a trade-off by allowing you to put your infrastructure in our city? Then you have total control on what's advertised on the infrastructure, or to sell the advertisement?
We have control over the advertising. What we do is we actually partner with you. If the municipal governments have a standard advertising policy for outdoor infrastructure, whether that's for, say, for example, MARTA, they have their own advertising standard policy. We typically follow those guidelines. If there's ever any question about a particular type of advertising, all you have to do is just simply say, this is not something we want in our community, and we control it through that way. As a private entity, we maintain the control over it, but we absolutely respect the desires of the local partners. And of course, when it comes to outdoor advertising, there are limitations to what government can do to control certain types of advertising, whereas a private business, we have greater flexibility. And as a standard and a rule, we do not advertise any product or service that cannot be purchased by a minor, period. That's our standard policy. So, and we don't do political advertising or any sort of controversial messaging. And those things are spelled out within our agreements as to what we do. But if the city has a specific policy that you would like for us to follow, we will absolutely follow it. And if there are specific types of advertising that you would prefer that we not market to, some communities do not like pawn shops or payday loans, those types of things, medical marijuana, those types of things advertised in their communities. And we're going to respect that. So you just let us know what you do not want, And we're happy to not encourage that type of advertising within the community and stick to family-oriented type stuff.
And so thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's what I was concerned about. I want, for me, I would like to see age-appropriate material advertised in our communities. I don't want any adversarial political messaging. And I guess the best way to do that is I'll probably work with, and I know I'll ask Councilmember Gums to work with me in this area because we are already working on a communications policy. I'll get with her so we could come up with some type of policy and work with the city manager's office and our city attorney office on maybe putting forth some type of resolution on what we would not like to see advertised in our city, just as a comprehensive policy overall. And then our city manager team can share that with you.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Willis. You asked the question I wanted to ask, but he answered. Thank you. Ms. Gomes, you're on.
Thank you for your presentation. Just a couple of quick questions. What cities in Georgia have you participated in? I don't know, I might have missed that in the presentation.
Yeah, we're relatively new within the state of Georgia. We currently have one other contract in place. We were actually in the process of starting our expansion last year, and then COVID hit us and it put a brake on us in our activities, as you well know, as it has with everybody. But I believe we are currently serving, I think it's Clayton County, I believe is the community that we currently have a partnership with MARTA to provide advertising benches at their bus stops.
Okay, and for the maintenance, how does that actually work? And will you need a liaison attached to the city from our public works department? Like how is it working in Clayton County? And my first question is the maintenance. Is there a rotation? Like, do you come out every 6 months and evaluate? Because I could see, you know, as big as our city is, and depending on where these are located, you know, something might just get lost in the trenches. So I'm just trying to figure out what is your schedule for rotating.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Our standard activity, and this is just as a general rule, we try to touch our infrastructure at least once a month to ensure that, you know, there isn't a buildup of trash or debris around the infrastructure at a very minimum. And so we have routine schedules. And of course, you know, depending on the type of activity, if it's a major activity center within the community or it's an area that experiences a lot of trash or service needs, then our staff will come out more frequently than that. And we can do it up to 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the needs. But usually if it gets really bad and there's a major problem with a particular site, then we try to look at ways that we can curb some of that negative activity so that people are making sure that they're putting things in the trash as opposed to, you know, just throwing it at it and it just ending it up back on the ground or something because they're not making a full effort to get it in the receptacles. Or if it's a bench infrastructure, a seating infrastructure, it has a slightly different need because people tend to leave their drinks or their lunch materials behind on the bench when, you know, they're accessing the transit system and so forth. So sometimes those, you know, types of infrastructure requires a little bit more frequent attention than a trash receptacle. But at the very least, it would be once a month that we would be routinely checking on the infrastructure. And then, of course, we'll come out and pressure wash the units at least once a year. And, you know, depending on what the need is, you know, how much you know, material, maybe, you know, dirt and whatnot, maybe gathering on an infrastructure, we can do it up to 2 times a year.
Okay, and here's my last question. So are you a fairly new company? And even if you only have one contract in Georgia, do you have it in any other cities outside of Georgia? I see Tampa here. Do you have work in Tampa?
Yes, ma'am. We're not a new company. We've been in business 35 years. And so we've been around for quite some time now. We currently serve over 77 communities in the state of Florida alone. That's one of our larger territories that we have, but we have territories all over the United States, and we're happy to provide to the city with references so that you can talk to the communities that we've worked in the past. You know, we're not afraid for you to talk to our active customers. In fact, we encourage it.
I think that would be very helpful. So thank you for answering my questions.
Okay, second go around for Ms. Willis, and then we'll have Ms. Rowell, and then we'll conclude.
The misconception is that MARTA is responsible for providing trash cans. That is a false narrative. MARTA is not responsible and has made it clear that they will not bring out trash cans or shelter at their bus stops and they base everything on ridership. And recently I've had problems with MARTA cleaning up their amenities that they place in our communities. Hence, I'm going to say this to you, Mr. Presley, once a month, if you start putting out infrastructure in our community, once a month in this large city is not going to be enough. And so you might want to consider that with the city manager. We have a major problem with trash. And I personally pay for trash cans out of my budget to place in my community at my MARTA bus stops because I care about my community and don't want litter in my community. So I'm hoping by placing these trash cans at the MARTA stops in my community, people will see a trash can and place trash in the trash can and not in the community. I welcome this service. Anything that we can do to prohibit litter in our community, I'm all for it. Thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you, Ms. Willis, and we'll conclude with Councilmember Rao.
Quick question. Thank you for your presentation. I'm excited because it appears to be a cost-neutral program. My specific question, I know we approved as a council a partnership with Comcast, and I'm trying to understand how would this work in concert? That's, I guess, a question for the city manager.
It's you said a partnership with Comcast?
Yes. And I know this predated you, but I'm just trying to see how they work together. We had looked at smart solution in terms of trash cans with sensors on them, and I just don't know how they work. This might work.
Okay. Can I look into it and then follow back up with you?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Presley. We appreciate everything. And next item, please.
Next item, item 3, South Fulton Beautification Project, Communications and External Affairs, Mr. Gary Lefwich.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to present to you today. It is very fortuitous that we are following the last presentation, and we will look into ways that we can partner with that effort if that is the way the city goes. We're excited to share the outline of a new initiative that, as it grows and develops, can not only help improve the image for the city, but also increase resident engagement as well. And that fits with our department's newly adopted mission, which is informing and engaging residents to build a better South Fulton. A few months ago, Councilwoman Rao asked in a council meeting that we develop anti-littering messaging for the city. And we thought about that and trying to determine how best to approach what is potentially a negative subject in a way that encouraged action. And it seemed for us to flip the narrative to more positive and make a broader brush stroke with the idea of beautification. And our team has spent the time since meeting together and developing what we are calling the South Fulton Beautification Project. Now, that is a comprehensive framework that links residents, homeowners associations, merchants groups, corporate partners, and the faith-based community in an effort to beautify the city. The tagline that we have is, "A clean city is our home." The outline does include anti-littering messaging under the tagline, "Don't Trash South Fulton." It also includes a schedule of events over the next year, as well as messaging on why a clean city is important. Keep in mind, this is just a framework. We have developed this in response to the request to build out that would be the ultimate level of success we would like. Would probably take a dedicated staff member, and hopefully we can find that and include that in the budget in FY22, whether it's in our department or another department where this effort may fit better. And then we'll do our best to manage the growth of the effort to keep it going. And we certainly always will provide communication support for this effort. Sheena Screen, one of our communication specialists, we gave her the lead on this, and she's done an excellent job. It's been a great team effort, and we've all pitched in ideas and research, but she has been the one that has managed making sure that all of that comes together. And I would love for her to present to you what she's come up with. She's done an excellent job again. So Sheena, you're on. Show them what we've come up with.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gary, for your guidance on this project. I also want to take a quick moment to thank the mayor and council for allowing us to have this opportunity to share this information with the community. As Gary said, this is a 12-month campaign that is focused on educating residents, merchants, and stakeholders about the benefits of a clean city. And so I want to focus right now on the why. A clean South Fulton will promote and improve quality of life for residents. A clean South Fulton will attract corporate giants, boost economic impact, and bring jobs. It'll also enhance tourism within the city and increase revenue. Now, in the interest of time, I want to go through a couple of the slides here. So if we can go to the one where it says, "Let's talk cleanliness." So I can mention a couple other reasons why we want to clean South Fulton. We want to clean South Fulton because we want to promote pride in our property and community, and we also want to promote healthy families and well-being. Next slide, please. South Fulton, we can't do this without you. We need you. So in order for us to do this, we have to leverage partnerships within our business community, with community groups and corporate entities, and even our city departments. And so some of those business partnerships that we plan on reaching out to are our merchant associations. We want to touch every corridor of South Fulton from Old National to Cascade, and even develop relationships with our South Fulton Chamber of Commerce. Some of those corporate partnerships that we want to touch on are Home Depot, Ace Hardware, and we even want to purchase advertising space through MARTA at some of our bus shelter stops throughout South Fulton. Next slide, please. Some of the city partnerships we have listed on the screen, we've already worked with some of our city departments to launch some of the events of this campaign, Parks and Rec being one of those, Destination South Fulton. And we plan on using some of the other city departments as well. The first week of January, Mayor Edwards had a cleanup event with our Clean City crew. And so we will be pulling on those resources over the next 12 months to really increase citizen engagement in this project. Some of the community partnerships, if we can go back, some of the community partnerships that we want to touch on, we want to give an opportunity for young residents to get involved, as well as our seasoned residents. And so we're going to be reaching out to homeowner associations, local Girl and Boy Scout troops, Keep South Fulton Beautiful, Fulton County Schools. But we also want to take some time to tell you about South Fulton Litter Busters. Now, if you go to our city website at cityofsouthfultonga.gov, go to the How Do I tab. Under the Sign Up tab, you'll see a third link, which will say South Fulton Litter Busters. This will allow any resident to give us their contact information. And when we have scheduled cleanup events, we will contact you and let you know about volunteer opportunities with the South Fulton Beautification Project. Next slide. I'm going to skip over this slide because Gary touched on that. And so we've already kicked off this campaign. In January, we had the Get Fitter Without Litter, which was a virtual walk, run, and jog. This took place the weekend before MLK Day of Service, and it actually married nicely with some of the other cleanup events that our council members held. But this specific event allowed the city to distribute items to residents and stakeholders during that MLK Day weekend. We gave residents gloves, contractor trash bags, hand sanitizer, and masks, and they took those items and were able to go to a series of events to volunteer and clean up the city. And so this is what it looks like at a glance. And we had Jacobs there. We had a couple of residents picture there, even our councilwoman there from District 1. So did we skip a slide? Because I wanted to mention our Love Your City campaign. I guess that slide is missing, but right now in the month of February, we have a campaign called Love Your City. And if you're following us on our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you'll see that this Love Your City social media campaign is an education tool to educate residents and business owners about the existing city services that are in place within the city right now to help maintain South Fulton's beauty. And in March, we're going to bring back our signature event, teaming up with Public Works to allow residents and merchants to get rid of their bulky trash items at Mark Miles Transfer Center and at Krill Park. And then in April is Keep American Beautiful Month. And it's also Earth Day. Earth Day is April 22nd. So we plan on having a signature week of events to coincide with these observances. And some of those events will look like a virtual lunch and learn opportunities with our park rangers about learning how to keep the city clean. Also, an artwork contest to create citizen engagement with our young South Fulton residents and other events. So at this time, I want to turn it back over to Communications Director Gary Leftwich to talk about the proposed budget for the South Fulton Beautification Project. Gary? Is he there?
I was trying to unmute there. Thank you,
Okay.
Sheena, for running us. And we have actually updated the budget a little bit beyond what you see on the screen. And the budget, which will come out of the communication budget for the first year, is $6,750. And a lot of that, 2,000 of that will be for the bus shelter advertising that we talked about. We do not have the funds available this year to do billboards or any major advertising like that. So we wanted to start and reach into the bus shelters to place advertising. That also includes $500 for boosting advertising on social media, just to get the message to a wider audience. $1,500 for to produce a limited edition t-shirt. We know we will have to encourage and incent some volunteers to be involved and reward them for participation. We have a $750 budget for graphic design that we may need if we do a logo for the program and any advertising or flyers we need to do. And finally, $1,500 for supplies, miscellaneous expenses to support the events, whether that be trash bags, gloves, masks, trash pickers. So we have budgeted the $1,500 in for that. That is in a nutshell the South Fulton Beautification Program. Let me emphasize, that this is a community effort, that we will rely heavily on resident engagement to be successful. At the same time, it's also a citywide effort. We want to make sure that we're reaching all districts, we're reaching all areas, and the different challenges they face. We certainly need each one of you on the council to help us promote and assist within your districts with events, to promote them, to help schedule them. But we want to reach and encourage all residents of the city because this is their home. And again, a clean home is their home. So with that, we will entertain any questions if there's some time left. It looks like we have some time left in our presentation. After questions, I would, if you don't mind, like to update you on a couple of projects that you may be interested in.
Okay, before I go to Ms. Willis, Ms. Sadler Jones.
Yes, sir.
I talked to you about the city cleanup day that's going to be sponsored by me and Councilwoman Rao. And I think, and we were talking about a meeting, I think it's a good time knowing this to pull that meeting together so we can work in concert with what they're doing.
Okay, all right.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem, you got it.
So does the city cleanup day means the whole city and not just certain areas of the city? Because that's what I would like to see, more equability. Because even though we have, merchants associations helping out in some areas of town, we have committed residents who go out on their own and pick up trash in certain areas, like Miss Harvey and Mr. Samuels and Mr. Stevens. They're not a part of any association, but they go out on a consistent basis and pick up trash community. So I would love to see more partnership with the Go Green initiative with individuals like that to give them some help and muscle to do more cleanup, make more of an impact. They do a lot by themselves, but it would be great if we can have a little bit more equability. Also, we have some organizations that adopted roads, and some organizations even came into City Hall with you, Mayor, and did big photo ops and media press reviews and everything. But I haven't seen them pick up one lick of trash. So if we could have this initiative get a listing of these organizations that supposedly adopted roles in our city and committed to cleaning up or picking up trash in our city, it's time to re-engage these organizations because that's what they committed to doing, and they did photo ops with you and press releases and everything, and we really need their help at this time. Lastly, this is going to be a comprehensive effort. As being a part of National League of Cities, I have traveled to cities across this nation, and some of the cities are huge cities like San Antonio. You can fit city of South Fulton inside of San Antonio 3 and 4 times, a very clean city. And Mayor, you were with me. Right. And one of the things that we asked them is what are you doing to keep your city and your downtown areas so clean? And they said, we invest millions of dollars. We have street sweepers come through every morning in the wee hours of the morning and sweep our streets. We pay people to constantly pick up trash. When we went to Washington, D.C., they had a program where they were paying people to constantly go through the city and pick up trash. And so I think this is great where we can engage our residents, but we are going to have to, eventually look into making more investment and paying people to consistently pick up trash.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Khalid.
Thank you so much. I just have one question for Mr. Green and Mr. Leftwich. When is the March bulk trash collection day?
We don't have a date set as of now. We would have to contact Public Works and work internally to set that up.
All right, well, as soon as you have it, because one of the complaints that I've heard from my citizens is that they do not get enough notice, especially the seniors who are trying to arrange bulk trash pickup. So please, I would say sooner rather than later, let's get a date. Thank you so much.
We will work on that tomorrow, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khalid. Councilmember Rao, and we'll close this out. Councilmember Rao, you're the last speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Willis and members of council, the initiative that me and the mayor talked about will be citywide, and will engage as many residents and as well as community groups that want to get involved. Cleanliness for me is a big deal. It's something I've been working on for a long time, and I know many of you are as equally concerned about the cleanliness of the city. I also think that we need to make a big effort to ensure people really know about Merck Road. I can tell, as our population continues to grow, there they need to be made aware of that resource as a place where they can deal with bulk drop off of waste. We're seeing, continue to see issues with illegal dumping. So anything we can do, and I mean, just flyers, let them know the hours and they're available. I think that's something we can do in the interim, but please be assured this will be a citywide effort that we're planning, and we'll engage all council members.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ledwidge and others. Mr. Clerk, next item.
Next item, item 4, monthly report from the finance director.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council, fellow staff members, and citizens. Thank you for allowing me to present this report. The data that I'm showing you today is from December 30th, 2020. We are a little behind as far as timing is concerned because it takes a little while to compile these reports, and January, of course, just ended a few days ago, so we don't have January numbers. But looking at our operations for the month of December, we are doing pretty well for operations. If you can go to the next slide, please, Corey. This is a presentation of the general fund revenues through the month of December. We typically receive the bulk of our revenues from property taxes early in the fiscal year, and these monies are the monies that will carry us through the remainder of the fiscal year 2021. Of course, we'll have other revenues coming in, but we can see that most of our tax revenues are trending very close to what we had anticipated for the full fiscal year. Local option sales taxes, and here's a depiction of what our property taxes were and have been for the past 4 years, and we are trending well. We expect to collect all those property taxes that we have anticipated. Next slide, please. This is a depiction of where our sources of revenue come from in a graphical representation. Again, property taxes are being our largest source of revenue. The other revenue that's shown there is $4,125,000 is the result of the proceeds from the CARES Act. We'll allocate that out so that it is more clear that it's not just other revenue in a big chunk, but most of that is comprised of the CARES money that we received this year. Local option sales tax we receive monthly, and that's based on the activity of the economy. Hotel, motel taxes, alcohol premium, insurance premium taxes, we receive those once a year in October. We're doing well in all those areas of operations. Next slide, please. This slide shows us where we are trending with relation to expenses through the end of December. Again, we are only at $9,590,000 at this time, but that is pretty common that early in the year with holidays and downtime that we are not at our full expenditure level. You can see there's zero has been expended for blighted properties, but we know that there are activities on the horizon that will use up the bulk, if not all of those funds. The debt service takes place twice a year, and interfund transfers take place as needed. So all of those activities will be expended as in the form of payroll and operating costs throughout the year. Next slide, please. This slide just gives you a depiction of our personnel costs relative to operating costs for the year. Next slide, please. Before we get to questions, I wanted to also bring some ideas and things to your attention that we are working on. We are in the middle of our financial audit for 2020. Our audit team, Malden and Jenkins, began their field work on February 1st, and we expected that work will be concluded, and we should have some audited financial reports to present to you at a scheduled time. As we have in the past, Malden and Jenkins will send a representative and they'll review each document, each finding, if any. We always expect none. That is our ultimate goal. So that timeline means that we will have financial statements issued in a timely manner, and the production of our CAFR, our Consolidated Annual Financial Report, is on trend to be timely as well. We're also working on 3 budgets simultaneously. We want to close out our FY 2020 budget with a final budget amendment so that we have captured everything that we have expended and reflect that we did not overexpend or underexpend anything. We're also working on our 2021 budget to present to you a second budget amendment to account for some things that have come up operationally that we want to support with unexpected or unanticipated revenues that have come to fruition. And we also want to turn our attention to the fiscal year 2022 budget cycle that we should all be thinking about right now. In my opinion, budget cycles never end. We are always in a budget cycle mode, thinking strategically, planning our goals and objectives, and making provision for those items as we move forward in the year. I would advise that we refresh our memory on some of the items that we had presented, that the former city manager presented in a memo to you back in September, with some items that were not able to be funded in the budget because we were not sure of the impact of COVID-19 on our operating revenue. But those will be good items to look at and consider when we are doing our mid-year amendment or our fiscal year 2022 budget development.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, we have in the queue Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay. What about how is our loss of funds trending? I see that it's down a little bit. Can you speak a little bit about it?
Well, local option sales tax are directly impacted with what happens in the economy with respect to sales.
Exactly.
I think that when we budgeted for local option sales tax, we were being conservative, and I think that was a smart approach. Right now, I think that we are trending well with respect to the local option sales taxes that are coming in. It could be a lot worse.
And so we haven't received any revenue from franchise fees.
We have received revenue from franchise fees, but they are not reflected in this December 2020 report. They'll be reflected in January. They come in quarterly.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Gilliard. Any other questions for Ms. Robinson? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
Mayor, you went fast. I actually requested to be on I wanted to see business license. It looks like it was down.
Robinson, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, you wasn't in the queue, so.
I'm sorry.
It sounded like it hit.
Yes, ma'am. Business license renewal begins in December. So what you'll see in January, February, and March will be a better depiction of where we are with business license revenue to date. I can get you an up-to-date number and provide that to you offline for the council.
Thank you. I just think, as we understand, businesses have been adversely impacted by COVID-19. I'm trying to understand the impact, and if we've lost businesses or some have folded, just don't have a real sense. So any insight you can provide to the entire council, I think would be appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take care of that tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you and your staff, Ms. Robinson. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, next item.
Next item, item 5, the monthly report by the city manager, Ms. Tammy Sadler-Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Good evening, everyone. Our interim finance director brought to your attention the CARES Act. I did want to begin with that just to give you an update on our mortgage and rental assistance program. To date, we have a award of 307 individuals that have been awarded the funds for the mortgage and rental assistance program. Out of that, 47 awards are currently on hold. And it's my understanding that due to the high mortgage amounts that some of these individuals have, many of the mortgage companies are declining to accept or are holding the partial payments without crediting it to the applicant's accounts. So we are working to do research to verify and understand why issued checks have not been cleared at the vendor's bank accounts. So we will continue to do research and figure out what's going on with that. In regards to the small business grant program, a total of 29 awards have been given, with 59 currently on hold. And those are only on hold because the vendor is awaiting documentation to complete a particular application packet. So we're glad that those programs are proceeding as expected. We do have the care.com program for our employees that has been rolled out, and staff members are starting to sign up to utilize those services. IT, the infrastructure security, majority of the equipment has been received, with remaining items on back order scheduled to be shipped in the coming weeks. Active projects like cybersecurity assessment is also currently in progress. Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs, they've received all of their equipment. It has been installed in order for them to do virtual programming. That is in progress. And as far as Public Works, sanitizing and protective barrier equipment, all contracts have been executed, and staff is actually waiting for some touchless fixtures to be arrived, and then we will have those installed in the coming weeks as well. The URA projects, we're happy that we are kicking that off. I know that the staff have met with some of the council members, and for those of you who have not gotten scheduled, we will be reaching out to you very soon. Public Works, in coordination with Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs, along with the Fire Department, Finance, the City Manager's Office, they are implementing a comprehensive approach to the URA projects. As you recall, we got about $10.6 million in projects that are within each of the 7 districts. The team is, again, going to be working to get those meetings scheduled with the council members who have not been scheduled yet. And I'm happy to say we have our project managers on staff. We're excited to have them housed in City Hall, and they are making some great progress to try to get these projects started. Again, I wanted to remind the citizens of South Fulton that the city, we were selected to do the flood insurance program through FEMA, and we encourage you to reach out to your insurance brokers to look at getting that particular insurance coverage if you so desire. I also wanted to share with you on the subject of litter and code enforcement issues. I hear you. I've been getting the emails. The staff and I have been trying to do our very, very best to get these issues addressed. We are in the process of trying to come up with what we call a high intensity quality of life enforcement effort. We're in the process of trying to focus on litter removal with additional crews, coming out to various areas within the city. Traffic enforcement, we're working with our police department, increased code enforcement, and also educating our community. As you saw, our communications team is assisting in those efforts. Again, we will be reaching out to those council members who we have not had a chance to schedule yet to discuss with you, what areas of quality of life enforcement that you want us to focus on. And we will hopefully begin to roll out this program on the week of February 22nd. And again, it's going to be citywide, all districts within the city. And we hope to be able to address the litter issues and illegal dumping that we are experiencing in our city. Again, illegal dumping, is a major concern. And with the assistance of our Assistant City Manager, Don Toms, we are trying to work with our power companies to look at increasing lighting, street lighting in those areas that we have identified as, kind of some of our repeat illegal dumping areas. And hopefully that will make it less attractive if there is lighting in that area. So we are working on, enforcement, signage, education, and surveillance cameras where we can try to see if we can catch some of these individuals who are doing illegal dumping within our city. The other thing I wanted to share with you, strategic plan. I know that the city in 2019 did a strategic plan. The staff, we are trying to work on implementing those efforts. We're going to be holding some meetings over the next few months, and then we will be circling back to the mayor and the council at the conclusion of our review to share with you ways that we want to implement some of the strategic plan efforts. And we know that the strategic plan has target things that we need to do, but we just, now with me coming on and our Assistant City Manager coming on, we want to be able to make sure that we are addressing our strategic planning efforts. The other thing I wanted to mention, at the February 23rd meeting, City Council meeting, we're going to be rolling out a new agenda summary sheet. I sent out an email to you, I believe back in January, that shared with you efforts that we are trying to implement to streamline our council meetings. And hopefully this particular summary sheet will provide you with just that. It will be a summary of the agenda item. You will see, the title, you will see where it originated from, you will see the funding, you will see the line item, you will see the staff that have signed off on the particular agenda item. So hopefully that will address some of your questions. However, I would encourage you that if you do have questions, that you will let me know or the staff know so we can try to address those in advance of the city council meetings. I do have some other ideas I want to share with you, but I know out of respect for time, I won't go into those today, but we certainly want to follow up with you on some things that we want to roll out going forward. The last thing, communications department, hats off to Gary and his team. They sent out information about the calendar of events and the internal newsletter. We hope that it meets your expectations, and we will continue to tweak that, and hopefully it will provide the information that you desire. With that, I will be glad to take any questions that you may have.
Before I call on Councilmember Willis, I want to add to your comments on the emergency rental assistance. As of February the 5th, we had our Commissioner Mayor's meeting. And I want to thank Ms. Willis for putting that out. So this is a public meeting and everybody can be a part of this meeting when we have it. But the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, that's the Title IV, we didn't get a chance to deal with that much because we deal with a whole lot of stuff as it pertains to getting people vaccinated. But we will come back at a special call meeting with all of us to talk about the emergency rental assistance from the Department of Trade. The meeting is Friday, I just was told. The meeting will be Friday. We'll send something out. And once again, all our meetings are public meetings, and we will get it out to everybody so you can chime in. So I just want to let you know that even though we got more money coming in terms of emergency rental assistance. And
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Willis, you're on.
Thank you, Ms. Sadler Jones, for that awesome city manager's report. And you've only been in full control going on over 60 days now. And what I would say to you, small strides to big strides. And I really do see some turning around. The newsletter that was sent out by the communications team, it was excellent. And thank you for sharing the new hires that have been brought aboard. Prior to you getting here, we will walk through City Hall and see new faces and wouldn't have any clue who they were and where they were working. I just would like for you to please do whatever you can to work with either code enforcement, police, or public works, or maybe they need to work in concert with each other, because we really do need cameras in the city to find out who has the audacity and the gall to come in our communities and constantly litter. I mean, people are intentionally coming into our community and just dumping tires, mattresses, and bags of trash, and they're doing it in some of the same areas. And it's just disrespectful. And I just hope that we don't find that it's our actual residents doing this. But we've been trying to combat. We put money in the budget for cameras. We have cameras have been put up in inconspicuous places in the city, and we haven't been successful with catching people, or I don't know if people are not monitoring them like they should. But we really, really need to figure out this camera thing so we can hold people accountable for what they're doing in our community. And I just would like to encourage you to keep up the good work, and don't worry about the false narratives and the nastiness that have been put out. You are new. I expect you to come here, make an assessment, make changes, and build your team so that you can be successful on behalf of the residents of the city and the city council and mayor. And so far, you've been doing a good job, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Khalid, you're next.
Thank you so much. This question is actually either for you, Madam City Manager, or Mr. Edwards. Both of you touched on it, but I have been getting a lot of requests from my residents about where they can go to get the vaccine, and I've been seeing reports about a lack of vaccination sites south of I-20, and I'm just wondering if you have any update about that.
I can take that one, Madam City Manager.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Khalid, we on that meeting on Friday, and I think Ms. Willis can tell you because she was on that meeting. It was a very heated discussion about the inequity, North and South, in terms of vaccinations. And we know as a nation, it has been inequity between brown and Black people. Here's what we heard, and Ms. Willis can tell you, I might have turned into Helen Willis on that meeting, but here's what we heard, that the availability of the drugs was not there. That's number one, all right? But when you go back, Mr. Khalid, and look at the map of sites on the other side of I-20, and you come back and look at our sites, you're looking at the Aviation Center. And that's it. During the meeting, the mayor of College Park said to them, she has the third largest convention city in this state. And they would more than be glad to allow them to have the vaccination done in that city. Thirdly, Mr. Khalid, they mentioned mobile centers. And my comments was, if you got a mobile center, we could use it on Old National Highway. We could use it at Welcome All Park. We could use it all around our cities to get our people vaccinated. It is a shame that this county can have one site and tell our seniors that they have a program where they can get Uber. That is disgraceful. That is disgraceful. So the conversation is still going on. When we go back to have the next meeting, Mr. Khalid, they better have a better approach to getting vaccines to our city than what they had on the 5th of this month.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. I think all my colleagues, we share the same sentiments. We're getting calls left and right from residents trying to figure out how to get the vaccine. I am glad though they did set up a number. If you're not aware, if your seniors can't get online to schedule, it's a number you can call now. I think that was added recently. I will share that if you all don't have that information. But anything you can do to get a site, like if it's GICC or South, it's just greatly needed. Getting a lot of calls and texts asking how to get the vaccine.
Well, Ms. Rod, I think they got the message. You was on the call. They got the message. So we're gonna see what they come up with at our next meeting.
Yeah. And I also want to ditto Ms. Sadler Jones and Don Toms. You all have really hit the ground running. I'm going to ditto what I heard my colleague talk about. I think the communication has improved significantly, and if we just continue in that vein, I think we are on a good route. Also, the Public Works, I want to give a shout out to them. They did a very good job of going through the URA projects. I think once the council members go through those sessions, it's very insightful and informative about the steps that the department will be taking to implement those projects. So, job well done.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, next item, please. Mr. Clerk. Corey, are you there?
Mr. Mayor, you want me to help him out and read?
I'm sorry. I thought I was off mute. The next item is item 6, the monthly report from the new city attorney, Mr. Vincent Hyman.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. The bulk of my report would be entailing real estate and litigation, so that would be in executive session.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hyman.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing no other motions, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move that we motion to adjourn and then motion to go into executive session? Is that what we do? City Clerk?
No, ma'am. No, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, if you wish to go into executive session, you would need to make that motion prior to adjourning.
Right.
Okay, because Mayor, do we need to do executive session after the special meeting?
Question. I would think that we would do it after the special meeting.
Okay, I move that we adjourn work session February 9th, 2021.
There a second?
Second.
All right. Properly moved to second. Discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Clerk?
It's properly moved in second. This is the roll call vote. Motion to adjourn. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard?
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid? Councilmember Baker? That item was approved 5-0. The meeting is adjourned the work session is adjourned at 5:28 p.m.
Next council meeting is what time? 7?
The zoning public hearing begins at 6 p.m.
All right, I'll see you all there.